Richard, good evening. You're the first, as usual. How are you, my friend? How is the video and audio? Please let me know. I can see a few more people. Please introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know where you are from, how is the connection, video and audio, and let's make an interesting discussion. All good. Thank you. Video and audio is good. Excellent. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. So, today I'm not going to have any speech tonight. Everything will be in your hands, guys. Frederick Peterson from Sweden. Nice to see you here, Frederick. Adam Lukas. Good evening, Adam. Yop 1025. Bonjour, mon ami. Bonjour, monsieur. Sarah. And a few more people, I guess, will come. So, guys, tonight I'm not going to have any speech. The topic is a motorcycle trip abroad or traveling with a motorcycle in a different country. So anything that you would like to be discussed tonight, if you have any questions or if you want to add some subtopics on the topic that we already have, please feel free to do it. I'll be glad if I can provide the information that you need or if I can display the information that you plan to share. Always keep in mind that the streams will be watched from people after it's finished. I will convert it to a normal video and many people might have some benefits from everything that we discussed. So basically, the stream is going to be about your questions on the topic that I already told you, motorcycle trip abroad or traveling with a motorcycle in a foreign country. So as I said, feel free to ask me anything on this topic. Of course, it could be on the different topics as well, but if we can go around the topic, will be more interesting because let's say the next live stream is going to be about something else. And this way we can build a specific information flows on the different topics and everyone who is interested on the topic could find it easily after that. How are your days? Always keep in mind as well that we have this one-way connection. You can see me, you can hear me, but I have only your comments or your questions or everything you do in the chat. So if we want to have some kind of communication, it should be with you in the chat. Otherwise, I cannot read your minds. I don't know what you need or what I can do for you. So please be more active in the chat. I hope that you understand. Tenere Traveler, last ride maybe this year, weather turning. Yeah, of course, winter is coming. We actually had an excellent day here in Varna. It was like 15, 16 degrees, excellent. But I was busy here in the house to do different things, so I was not able to ride. But I hope that the winter will give many more days like this. We'll see how it's going to be. Last year was fine until maybe the middle of December, then became too cold. January and February was too cold, then March was nice, and then in April we had snow. So I don't know what will be this year, but I hope we'll be able to ride more. Of course, I don't plan any long trips or any trips at all for this winter, but it's nice when I can have like a few hours riding around or maybe go somewhere in the country just to relax a bit, if you understand what I mean. Come on, guys. Frederick, Yop, Adam, go ahead. Please, questions on the topic, traveling with a motorcycle abroad. Anything that you might be interested, go ahead. Tenere Traveler, do they South Bulgaria roads? Not really, but when they do it only when it starts snowing, not before that. They spray some new, they said that these are new chemical materials, not exactly salt, but more or less it has the same purpose. So when you ride in these bad conditions, it's worth to wash the bike after that. Yop 1025, I just came back from Morocco, going to the south. Scared me. The Yamaha dealer is on the coast 500 kilometers away. Well, what I have to say, if you have Yamaha, you don't need to worry about the dealers. So you should be a little bit more, you need a little bit more courage to do what you need to do. So 500 kilometers is not that far even. Even if you have a problem, you'll be able to find the transport and move there. But yeah, I hope the next time you'll have more courage and we'll have a better trip. How did you find Morocco? Frederick Patterson. I did my first long trip this year from Sweden to Italy. I wish I started younger. I'm 47. I got hooked going to Norway year, and to 2027 I'm going back to the Alps in Swiss and Italy. Well, what I have to say, it's never too late for motorcycle trips. I understand you that you should have started earlier. I thought exactly the same for me, even though I started much earlier than you. I'm glad that you did the first trip, and I'm also glad that you're hooked. But now, from this moment, nothing is gonna be the same. You will be always look for another trip and another trip. It will be like a drug addiction forever. But in my opinion, this is a good addiction, and you can easily go with the flow with this addiction. You're not gonna die from it. Of course, it's gonna be exactly the opposite. Then traveler, the time of year to travel can have a huge impact on the weather and the price you pay important, and consider this. Yeah, absolutely. We who are living in the northern hemisphere, we're usually travel in the summer when the weather is good. But if you plan well, if you can organize your life and your budget and everything, you can have a wonderful time in the winter if you decided to go to the southern hemisphere, for example, so South America or Asia. You have a wonderful weather, and instead of freezing at home, you can have a wonderful time abroad with your motorcycle. Yup, 1025, very impressive from Morocco. Good to hear that. Yaros, good evening. Good evening, Yaros. Yup, 1025. I have a friend who was in Morocco with me. It was a Kove that broke down. He has a Volt. He has to wait at least 3 weeks to receive the part. What Kove he has? 450, or what was the problem with the motorcycle? Just let me know a little bit more about this situation. Yup, 1025. So finally he returned to France by plane. They couldn't fix the motorcycle. What was the problem? Frederick Pedersen, have you ever been to the Nordic countries? Yes, I have been to all of them. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, all of them. Finland as well. I've been to all northern countries. Wonderful part of the world. It's just too expensive. Trainer traveler, I think hard before spending on gear and upgrading, changing your motorcycle. What you have is probably do the job. Do not let others influence you. Absolutely agree with this, Richard. The most important part is to start with your trips with whatever motorcycle and gear you have. It is pointless, in my opinion, to spend so much money for a motorcycle and gear if you've never been on a trip before, because it might turn out that you don't like to be on the trip, and all the money that you have spent will be money for nothing, just like this. That's why it's worth to start with everything that you have, and if you like it, you can always upgrade to something better. Nikolai, good evening and congratulations for the new toy that you have. You obtained 1025. He broke the rear wheel hub. Interesting. How does it happen? Big potholes or what? Marv 968, good evening, Pavlin. It's nearly 1 year since you set off your trip around South America. I'm enjoying the videos you're releasing on the adventure. Thank you very much for spending the time and watching the videos, Marv 968. Actually, I have plans to start uploading 2 videos per week because it will take too long before I finish this season. So I'm gonna change the schedule a little bit, and we'll start uploading videos from South America every Tuesday and Saturday. So every Tuesday and Saturday, or maybe Friday, we'll see exactly when, maybe Friday as well. So every Tuesday and Friday, I will upload 2 video episodes, and I will keep them around 20 minutes each, because I noticed that 30 minutes are maybe too long for people who hasn't got any time. But yes, I still have so many interesting episodes to upload, especially from Bolivia, Peru, and stuff like that. So if you have time, watch it. Frederick Peterson, I went to Italy on a Vespa 300 from 2011. Now I have a Honda NX 500. It's not the motorcycle that makes you adventurous, but like you say, it is the motorcycle that works for you. It doesn't matter who or what others will tell you. Don't listen anyone, don't listen me either. It is the motorcycle that works for you. This is the most important moment. Traveler, consider how many miles you ride per day. If you ride normally 300 miles at home, it might be more on the fast multi-lane roads, or it's less if you ride off-road. Try and avoid overstretching yourself. Good advice, yes. Every mileage will depend on the road conditions, the weather conditions at the moment, and your condition, of course. If you don't feel well, you cannot gain the same mileage that you will usually do. That's why this is all relative, and it should be always considered regarding the current situation. Smasherton, good evening. Write what you have and keep going. There is your adventure bike. Absolutely agree. Marv 968, I agree. 20 minutes is perfect length to watch. 30-40 minutes videos are normally watched in two halves. Yeah, noted. I'm gonna change it to 20 minutes. I said 2 episodes per week just to speed the process a little bit, because it looks like the time is not gonna be enough if I upload only 1 video per week. Also, I hope that this scheduled 2 videos per week will keep the people a little bit more interested in the series, instead of waiting 1 week to see another episode. I have so much footage from this trip, and usually on every episode that I did, I threw away probably 80% of the footage that I have. I just wanted to keep the most important, or because I want to have some kind of chronological order, and to provide some kind of information for everyone who wants to travel in this direction. So I can cut even more, but it will kill the whole idea to provide information. So if I show you just a 10 minutes in the beginning of the day and 10 minutes at the end of the day, or 10 minutes in the middle where it's interesting, you're not going to understand anything from the road at all. That's why I try to keep this mix between information and maybe some entertainment. Okay, Yop 1025, I own T7 World Rate, but sometimes I regret my XT 660Z from 2010 for its simplicity and easy to repair. Well, World Rate, it's a very big and heavy motorcycle. It's a good design and maybe great idea, but I don't think that it's something that it's necessary in our world right now. And it looks like this model cannot get the same hype that the normal T7 has. We'll see what will be in the future. Maybe they expected too much from it, but I don't think that this model will succeed for many years. At least this is my opinion. We're going to see many models of 10RS 700, different configurations, but I don't think that we're going to see an upgrade model from World Rate. In my opinion, this is what I believe right now. Traveler, if you will be using a ferry, check it is running. Some are seasonal or run different in tables and season. Some had bookings in advance and you will have no space. It's a good advice, especially if you travel around Europe or Scandinavian countries. Ferries will be very important part from your trip, because you have to change many, especially if you plan to go around Scandinavian countries. That the ferries are something that are every 20, 50 or 60 kilometers, you're going to have a ferry, and it's always good to check for the schedules. There are ferries and ferries. For example, if you plan to take a ferry in Caspian Sea or somewhere in Russia, these type of ferries are not like ferries in Europe. There are no schedules, and there is no information online for most of these ferries. So they will be completely different story. But around Europe, around, let's say, Sardinia, Corsica, Sicily, or everywhere around the civilized world, you definitely need to check the schedules in advance. And for many ferries, you will need to buy tickets in advance, because in last minute, you might not be able to board in. Smasherton, I have a really hard time editing my footage, nothing but problem and second guesses the decisions on what to keep and cut. Absolutely, perfectly agree and understand you what you mean, Smasherton. But as I said, yeah, you have to prioritize what exactly you want to show on your videos. if you want to entertain people, if you want a lot of views and people to watch your videos and feel happy or smile or whatever, you have to cut and keep only the most interesting moments. If you want to provide some kind of documental information, then you need a little bit more footage. That's why I try to keep as maximum as possible footage from the rides, even though I understand that people feel boring to watch a motorcycle to be ridden all the time. They want to have something different, let's say communication with people or food or hotels or stuff like that. But at the end, it's a motorcycle trip. If I don't provide what is the condition of the road or how hard or easy is to ride it, where the whole idea will go. But again, I understand you perfectly. To edit the videos or to throw away so much footage that you believe that is going to be good, it's not easy. Marv 1968. How is your tenor 600? How is your tenor 660, Pavlion? Have you ridden it recently? I sold it 2 years ago. Marv 968. I sold it. I sold it on 193,000 kilometers 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I believe. Yeah. So I cannot tell you. The guy said that when he got to 200,000 kilometers, he will send me pictures, but he never did it. I don't know. He never done these kilometers or he's not riding. I don't know. The last time he wrote me about 6 months ago, he changed the front brake disc and stuff like that, but the motorcycle is still running very well, as far I know. Tenere traveler, if you're tired or feel unwell, don't be afraid to stop. Even if others ask you to continue, it is your health. They can wait or you can meet them later. This is a good advice. Don't push yourself to write more than you can, handle. This is brilliant advice, and that's why it's very important. Every time when you prepare a long trip, even if you're in a group, you have to be prepared to continue your trip alone. If something goes wrong in this group, if you cannot work together, or if you have so many problems between, better is to continue your trip alone. And for that purpose, you have to be ready alone. What I mean by that is to have all the logistic, all possible maps or GPS files, whatever you use, to be able to continue and travel alone without depend of anyone else. Good advice, Richard. Thank you very much. If the person or persons you're traveling with, you are running on your trip, you have ruining your trip. You have leave the group and you'll be happier alone. Exactly what I said. Thanks for adding this, Richard. Guys, so far, no one of you never ever mentioned anything about trip abroad or international trip. Everything that we discussed so far is mostly about the trips, but everything that we discuss could be locally. Let's discuss a little bit more on the topic trip abroad, motorcycle trip abroad, when you have to leave your country, cross borders and go to different countries, maybe fly to different countries or crossing land borders, something like that. Let's focus on this topic. It's not that this what we discussed is not interesting. It's interesting, but let's stay on the focus as much as possible. Francis Roussel, good evening. How are you, my friend? Where are you from? Tenant travel visas need to be booked in advance if possible. Yeah, this is a good topic, especially when you plan to cross a few countries. The visas are something that might stop you traveling if you don't have it on time, or if you believe that you can have it on the borders. There are, of course, some borders that you can get a visa on the borders, but it is always good idea to check this in advance. When you have time, when you're at home, you can go to the specific country embassy website or visa website, whatever they have, check all the rules and regulations and find exactly what you need. And if you can have your visa in advance, always do it in advance. Plan carefully the dates that you plan to be in the country and get it in advance. And always try to get more than you actually need. If you believe that 10 days or 2 weeks will be enough, get a month visa. If you need that 2 months are enough, go and take a 3 months visa, if you understand what I mean. Always more and always on the safe side. Francis Roussel, I'm going good. I'm from East Coast of Canada. Oh, I'm gonna arrive in the East Coast of Canada very soon, or not very soon, but next year, June, July, and August, I plan to ride in Canada, Francis. The whole Canada, plan to arrive in the East Coast, get a motorcycle from there, and ride the whole Canada up to Canadian Alaska and then back. Nikolai, plan to the unknown when it comes to your schedule. A couple of days in addition on the riding days, just you're not on a very tight schedule. Helps for unforeseen events or just enjoy places. This is a good advice. If you plan to ride, let's say 10 days, make it 2 weeks. Even though you know that you're gonna need 9 or 10 days, make it 2 weeks just to have just a few days in reserve if something goes wrong or if you need an extra day for something. You might be, let's say, sick and you won't be able to ride. So these extra days will come to you absolutely handy. Trainer traveler, a cheap holiday on another continent can become expensive when you add the cost of traveling there by air. This is a good point. Yeah, you can calculate the trip and like let's take an example. Our trip to South America. The whole trip itself cost us around 5,500 euros, maybe something like that for each of us. So let's say this trip cost me 5,500 euros. But from this 5,500 euros, about 2,000 euros were my flight tickets. So the trip itself cost 3,500 and another 2,000 for flight tickets. So if you plan to fly to a different country, you always need to calculate the air tickets as well, or everything that you need to transport yourself, or if you plan to transport your motorcycle, you have to add another cost on the top. So this is a good point to consider when you decided to travel to a country that is far away and need air or ship transportation when you cannot go by land borders. Yaros, learn about the countries in advance, the country in advance, learn about natural disaster, protests, armed conflicts, and etc. Never visit a foreign country without learning about it. Brilliant advice. I always suggest to learn as maximum as possible for the place that you plan to travel. It, in my opinion, to travel without any plans is not possible. We discussed this many times, especially abroad when you don't know anything about the country. So any information that you can get in advance will help you on some stage. It might be just a little, but also it might save your life. Depends on the situation and the country that you're going. That's why brilliant advice, always learn as much as possible information when you're still at home. And then when you go to the place, continue asking people, talking with people, learning and reading about the special situations or locations in the country that you plan to visit. Frederick Patterson, when you buy a motorcycle abroad, it's easy to say. Is it easy to sell it? How do you do it when the trip is over? I never bought a motorcycle abroad for myself, but now in South America, we bought a motorcycle for my friend Plamen and sold it 2 months after that. So, what I have to say, it could be easy, it could be difficult, depends on the country. If you plan to buy a motorcycle, let's say in Asia, countries like Vietnam, Laos, Indonesia, or stuff like that, it's very easy because there are so many motorcycles. It's also very easy to buy a motorcycle in India and sell it after that. But in some countries, might be complicated. I don't know what will be the situation in Canada, but we're about to see. In South America, it was easy to buy a motorcycle because we have a friend over there who helped us to do it. This is the best option if you can find someone local to help you. This is what I plan to do before I go to Canada, to inform everyone that is from there that I'm going. And if someone wants to help me to find a motorcycle for me and help me with all of this buying and selling processes, will be wonderful. But I cannot say how difficult or how hard it's going to be because it all depends on the country. Depends on the country. I hope that this answers the question. Frederick Peterson, okay. Vato, good evening. Terra traveler, if you foreign office advice against travel to a certain continent or region, you might be advised to listen. Your travel insurance is not valid if your embassy will not be obligated to help you. Not always, Richard. I agree. It's a good point, maybe good starting point. But I will always advise to make your own research because sometimes mm, the foreign office are not informed. For example, they can tell you, oh, you never need to go, let's say, to Afghanistan or to Pakistan, to all of these countries because it's very dangerous. But it is not always like that. Usually, it's exactly the opposite. So it's a good point, maybe to spend more time researching about this specific place. Maybe try to find a local people and ask them what exactly is the situation. But not blindly trust like that. Eh, Unless there are some kind of obvious problems like war in Ukraine, for example. It's obvious that it's not going to be a good idea to go and travel to Donbass at the moment. It's obvious that it's not going to be a good idea. But anything else, it's always questionable. Maybe because I am Bulgarian, I never trust just like that. I always do my own research and try to be informed as much as possible. But as I said, maybe it's a good starting point to think about it in this direction. Savke, good evening. How are you? Smasherton. The problem with Canada is taxes and surcharges. We get taxed to death here. They throw red tape at everything. I will look into for you, but also probably depends on which province you start at. Thank you very much. Of course, I will have plenty of time to organize this problem before I go there. I'm not gonna rely on last moment to find a motorcycle. I'll try to be prepared when I get there. But I understand in some countries might be difficult. It will be always better if you have a local friend to help you. I don't know what will be with the insurances after that. I can tell you more when I finished there. Travel, I agree, but if you're in trouble, they will not help you easily. Basically, that is washing their hands of you. I perfectly understand you, Richard. It's like that, especially about the insurances. They will have every possible chance that they have to avoid payments. That's absolutely understandable. But because I don't trust to insurances much, and I usually don't do any insurances for myself, I don't care at all. But from your point of view, and mostly from the Western point of view, I perfectly understand people because you use during the years to work with insurance companies and everything to be safe and sound as you should expect it. But in my world, it's never been like that. That's why I don't mind to risk. But I perfectly understand it's a good advice. If your country don't let you go there, it's obvious that your insurance will not cover anything at all. And if you go there, it will be on your own risks. That's why always find as much as possible information about it. Yaros, respect the countries you're visiting. Never try to enforce your own rules, your own culture, religion, and anything. Be respectful and never argue for no reason. Keep in mind that you're a nobody there. This is a brilliant advice. This is always something that I preach. Don't behave like an asshole. Behave like a normal tourist who visit the country, because you're nothing more than a normal tourist. Even if your country is very powerful, let's say you're coming from USA or from UK or from Australia or New Zealand, and you're visiting some small Asian country, it doesn't matter where you come from, you're still tourists in this country. Don't behave like an asshole. Be respectful and you'll be all right. If not, everything might finish tragically. Vance Martin, hello from Ontario, Canada. I finally get to see the live stream live. Nice to see you. Vance Marin, not Martin. Sorry to misspell your name. Nice to see you here. I hope you'll come again. Francis Rossell. Just a heads up, summertime hotels is stupidly expensive, maybe cheap models if you're lucky. Just a heads up and think you head for the budget. Yeah, absolutely. A budget is very important. If the hotels are very expensive, then it's a tent. Nothing more to say on this topic. This is Canada. Yeah, perfectly understand that. That's why I avoided for such a long time, and I don't think that Canada will be any cheaper in the future. That's why I have to go now, because if I don't go now, it will be even more expensive in the future. So now or never. Traveler, where you go is affected by the budget. A 2-week trip in America and luxury costs the same as a month in Asia if you're not extravagant. I'll say 2 months in Asia, Richard. Conversion will be probably 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, depends on the places. Very expensive part of the world, but nothing we can do about it. Denis Keras, good evening, Pavlen and everybody. Another useful stream live. Good evening, Denis. How are you? Francis Osel, lots of nice camping grounds and over the places. That's good to know. I will definitely bring a tent in Canada, because as we already know, the prices there are different. I don't think that I will be happy to pay a hotel $100 every night, so I will try to to go through the country as cheaper as possible as usual. Uh, it's not because I cannot pay for hotels. Of course, I can pay for hotels, but it's a principle that I have. I would like to travel as much as possible and as cheap as possible, because the money that I can save from the hotels, I can use it to buy more gas, or to buy more or better food, or to see more from the country, instead of paying for luxury room that I don't really need. So if I can save money on hotels and go to hostels or campings, I'll do it, of course. So it's all about the situation at the moment. Travel, a little language learned goes a long way. Yeah, this actually, I actually plan to make a video on the main channel about the languages, because nowadays, thanks to Google Translate and all different devices like Vasco or whatever the name was that you can buy today, you can basically communicate in any language everywhere around the world, theoretically. But in reality, it's not exactly like that. So it's really worth to learn at least a basic language before you go to a foreign country. If you plan to go, let's say, to Russia, of course you'll need a little Russian. If you plan to go to South America, you'll need Spanish. If you need to go to the States, you'll need English. Or if you need to go to any other place around the world that is not speaking your language, you need to learn at least the basics, because you cannot go everywhere around and talking with all people with the telephones. Some people will be agree to talk with your telephones, but most of them will say that forget about it. So you need to know a little bit at least. This will help you a lot and will open so many doors to you. Once you're able to communicate with locals, you'll feel like in the different trip. And I cannot stress you enough how important it is. Now, for example, in South America, we were with Plamen. So, okay, I learned a little bit Spanish. I was able to communicate on Spanish, but we were made from many local people that are speaking English, because they watch me from a long time, followers and stuff like that. So we went to many people's houses and talking on English, and we were having a wonderful night. And Plamen understands English a little bit, not that much, but he understands a little bit. And he was always trying to follow our conversation and everything. But at the end of the day, he said, man, if I just understand it a little bit more, it will be so much more interesting. I need to translate most of the important conversations to him, but it's always good when you're able to pick up at least something and make or at least to get an idea about the conversation. So little languages will always help, and I will encourage everyone who plans to travel abroad to know at least English. It is easy for people like Richard or Smasherton, or people that are coming from a big and powerful countries and your universal language is English. But when you're coming from small country like me, Bulgaria, what we're gonna do if I have to talk only Bulgarian? Айде от сега стрима ще е само на български, ще си говорим, аз ще ви кажа всичко, каквото си имаме, вие ще ми говорите, аз ще ви говоря. Каквото знаете, аз какво да направя? Това си е мой език, вие като не го знаете, оправите се. This is how the language that you don't know will sound about you. You will understand nothing, zero. And that's why you need to know at least something, at least something. Okay, Smasherton. Tents are satisfying when you're saving $100. All you need is a good sleep, and you can always find a shower. Spend more on food and gas. Absolutely agree with you. Depends on the destinations. When the hotels are cheap, like South America, $10 per hotel or $15 maximum per person, we don't need tents. But in North America, of course, we're gonna need tents, and I will try to save as much as possible money. Traveler, if you might need a special injections or vaccination, if you travel somewhere very different to your own place. This is a very important advice. If you have a specific medications, make sure that you have it. Plamen, for example, is diabetic, so he needed insulin. So we brought the insulin with us on a trip to South America, and the insulin need to be kept in the fridge usually. But because we did not have fridge every night, he has a small, like a wallet with a coolants inside, and he can keep the insulin in a good temperature for 3-4 days. But after these 3-4 days, the insulin need to be stored again with the cooling back in the fridge. But if you don't have insulin, you understand what is happening. Luckily, or not luckily, first we had the problem with the insulin. We used one fridge for the night just to cool it down, but it was cooled down too much, and early morning the antifreeze was frozen. So actually, when you got frozen, it's already broken, cannot be used anymore. It's not usable anymore. Luckily, we were in Argentina and went to the local hospital, and they gave us a free insulin to continue traveling. So I was like a doctor making injections to plummet every day with the new insulin that we got from the hospital. So, but if you have a very specific medication, make sure that you have it with you, because you might not be able to get it in the country, at least the same pills that or whatever medication that you have. Very good idea. Yaros, do not drink along with locals. Do not drink and write. This is absolutely right. Don't drink with locals unless you have a friend around, or you are with a friend with locals. Then maybe you can afford to have a few drinks. But alone with locals, never do it, because you don't know how this will finish. Yaros, as a Slav, I feel like I have a seed codes to pretty much all Slavic languages. You definitely have. If you're Slavic, you'll be able to understand people, and they will be able to understand you. Let me give you, or to tell you, a funny example. 2 years ago, on my way to Russia, I stopped in Slovakia. I needed to meet a guy in, I forgot the name of the town now. I will remember it after a while. Košice, in Košice. And when I arrived in Košice, because I arrived a day early, I contacted this guy. I said, well, I'm in Košice. If you want to meet me, now is the moment. And he said, well, you said that you will come tomorrow, and I am not at home at the moment. I said, no worries, don't worry about it. I will find a place to sleep, and maybe tomorrow if you come, we can meet somewhere. And he said, no, 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 no way. Just go to my place. My mother is there. She is going to meet you. I said, huh? What are you talking about? I'm not going to disturb your mother. I'll go to hotel. He said, no, 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 no. Go home. I just spoke with my mother. She's waiting for you. She's 72 and already prepared the dinner and everything for you. And then I asked, man, I don't feel good to go. He said, no, no, no. If you don't go now, she will feel so bad. And I said, okay, I'll go to your mother, but does she speak any English? And he said, not at all, but you'll be all right. Don't worry about it. So I went to his apartment, rang the bell. The lady came down, wonderful lady. We went up, parked the motorcycle, went up. She already prepared a dinner for me. We had some drinks, and we spoke perfectly. I was speaking Bulgarian. She was speaking Slovakian. I was understanding 50%. She was understanding 50%, and we were perfectly fine, without even trying to speak her language, or without she's trying to speak my language. So if you're Slavic, you definitely get a lot from the words that you're hearing. And it's a big bonus when you're traveling to the Slavic countries. Good to add this, Yaros. Terrain traveler, make sure your credit card works in your chosen destination. If you don't take cash, and you ideally take two different cards, and some places only like cash for exchanges, or cash dollars works well. Very good advice. Thanks for adding this, Richard. For example, now, before I go to South America, I had two different cards, two different banks. On the first bank, I went and asked, will it be possible to pay with my card in South America? They said, oh no, where about South America? I said, the whole South America. No, no, no. If you want to use your card in South America, it's good that you call, because you have to fill this or this form here, to sign here and there, and only then you can use your cards in South America. If you don't do it, we're gonna block it from the moment you try to use it, because of many scams and problems like that. And I did everything that they asked, and finally asked, do I need something else? Is this everything that I need? Do I need any confirmation? Do I need to come again before I go, because I will need this card? They said, no, 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 that's everything you need. And guess what? I went to South America, and my card never worked anywhere. I tried at least 7-8 different countries, never ever works. So it's good that I had another one with me that I can use at the moment. That's why it's always good to have at least two, if possible, three different cards. And of course, cash is always handy. You definitely need to have some cash with you. I, for example, kept just a small amount, like $500-600 in cash as a reserve if I cannot use any of my cards. But it's turned that I use them a lot in many different places, because some of the other card that I've got was possible to use in some countries, in another not. So I have to exchange some cash, or the country that I can use the card, I was able to draw some money and then exchange it on the border to another country. That's why at least two different cards, if possible, two different systems, maybe MasterCard and Visa, and a little cash always with you. Good advice. Cheat codes typo. Yes, Yaros. Revolut is the king of for traveling. Yes, the Revolut was the card that was working everywhere around South America, and Revolut was what I used all the time. And every time when I travel, I use mostly Revolut. Another card that I've got from Bulgaria does not work at all. So when I came back, I asked them, why does it not working? And they said, no, everything is all right. It's not blocked. We checked the system, card is active. I said, yeah, but it does not work. And they said, we don't know. So what I have to say. Terrain traveler, make sure your passport has a long time before expiry, before you want to come back to come back. If you might need to get visa and review your passport on the road, it's not easy and if possible at all. This is a good advice. Usually when you apply for visa, they will ask your passport to have at least another 6 months before they give you visa, before your expire. If you plan, let's say, to be there in December, they will need your passport to be until May next year. Otherwise, they will not give you any visa. And yeah, it is true that on the road you might not be able to get passport. Maybe in the best possible option, they will give you a passavan. Passavan is like a copy of your passport that you can leave the country, but it's not does not have the same power as your passport, and in many places might not be able to cross the border. Make sure that the passport has enough time, also enough pages in the passport, not the pages exactly, enough pages, because if you apply for visa and your passport is already full with different visas, if you don't have a blank page to have your visa, they're not gonna do it for you. So at least 6 months and at least 2 blank pages before you apply for visa. Okay, Frederick Peterson, bring your own straps to tie down the motorcycle on ferries. The straps they give you on the ferries are often very bad. I never bring straps with me, Frederick Peterson. The straps that they usually give on the ferries are good enough for me. I never had any problems with the straps on the ferries, except the ferries that are in the different parts in the world, let's say Russia or Asia. The ferries over there are different and they might not even have straps. For example, the ferry that I used to cross Caspian Sea, they didn't have even any belts. So I need to improvise and try to support my motorcycle one way. And on any other European or Nordic ferries, the belts are just enough for me. Of course, if you have yours, will be better, but they are too big and bulky to have them with me on the trips. Marv 968, make sure you have the correct international driving permit too. I never had any problems with the driving license at all. In fact, for all of my trips, I don't know how many trips I have, but I travel from at least 15 years. I've been asked for a driver license only 2 or 3 times. So, and none of these people ever asked me for international driving license. So usually, if your license is issued from a European Union somewhere, or the USA or UK, or everything is written on English or with normal symbols that everyone understands, no one will ever ask you about it. If your driver license is, example, only with a Cyrillic alphabet or some kind of Arabic or Israeli symbols, it might be a problem. But when you have international words on it, it shouldn't be a problem at all. And I never had any problems. I never heard about anyone that has problems about it. Francis Osiels, in Canada, the province of Ontario is really strict on speed limits. Do your speed limit or you'll pay for it, trust me. I understand. In many countries, it's very strict. It's supposed to be strict here as well, but here all the rules are very flexible. But I perfectly understand you. In New Zealand, a few years ago, I've been charged 180 New Zealand dollars just because I've got 20 kilometers above the speed limit, and the policeman said that he makes me a compromise. So yeah, we should be strict with the speed limits. I understand. Fredrik Peterson, not on the boat from Sweden to Germany. I don't understand why. I've been to this boat from Sweden to Germany at least 3 times and always got belts and never had any problems. Never ever. Maybe it was a specific moment or something like that. Maybe you don't like the belts or the straps that they have, but they always provide something. Terrain traveler, I know you don't usually do travel insurance, but if you do, buy it for the worst case situation. If I'm knocked off my bike by some fool, I might need to fly home for expensive hospital treatment. Just because I don't use it does not mean that it's not right. I perfectly agree with you. It's always good to have it. It's always good to have it. The problem is that the more I read the terms and conditions of these insurance companies and the more I ask them, the more I understand that they don't want to pay anything. Yes, it might help in some situations and it is probably good to have. I just cannot find the right insurance provider. Maybe because I'm from Bulgaria. If you live in UK, Europe, or the USA, maybe you'll have a different rules. But what I have found here in Bulgaria, it's always just piece of sand in my eyes. And when I start asking questions, specific questions, what about this situation or that situation? They usually say, "Oh, we're not sure," or "We're not gonna pay for this," or "We're not gonna pay for that." Especially if you plan some kind of off-road, if you plan some kind of adventure trip or travel. Question for you, Richard. Please let me know, will your insurance provider, whatever level of insurance you pay, will cover if you go down in the middle of Siberia off-road and break your leg? Will your insurance provider pay for it? It's just a question for you. Or in Bolivian desert somewhere in South America. If you don't know the answer, next time when you're to your insurance provider, ask him or her these questions and please let me know, because I'm really curious to see what will be the situation. Because I know that they all promise everything, they will promise you the world, but what they will give you, it's a little bit different. We have a joke in Bulgaria saying that no one can give you what I will promise you, if you understand what I mean. So I'll be really curious to know what will be the situation in exactly these options that I gave you. Yaros, do not eat too much new food, especially in Asia. Your body is not used to the foreign food. Eat something simple. If it's critical to feel well in the morning, it is critical to feel well in the morning. Have something stomach needs. Have some stomach meds with you. Good advice. Very, very important advice, especially if you plan to go to Asia. The food that they use, the combinations that they use, the spices that they use, especially Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and all of these Asian countries, it's completely different for what our stomachs are used to go. And it is not will I have it, will I have stomach problems. The question is when I'm gonna have it. So you will definitely have a diarrhea and problems like that. And to eat too much from something that you don't know and don't understand and never tested before, it's not really a good idea. The problem is that once you get to these countries, you cannot really find the food that you would like to eat at home, or that you get used to eat at home. Whenever you go to street restaurants, they will sell things that you don't normally eat, you don't usually eat. Even if you go to a expensive restaurant, everything will be different. For example, they cook sometimes with a cotton oils or different type of oils, or they prepare the food with so many chili spices that you cannot even get it. It's so different, and it's a normal your stomach to have some kind of revolution. I always to try to get everything out, but nothing we can do about it. Tenet travel Siberia, I don't know, but if I have an accident in the need helicopter evacuation and flights home, they will cover Africa, South America for a price, obviously. Richard, please, once again, go to your insurance provider and tell them specifically, not that you have an accident on the major roads, or ask them, no, I'll be off-road, away from the normal roads that I usually plan. I'll be in the forest, I'll be here or there, and ask them again, will they cover South America? And what will be, of course, the price? Because if they plan to bring me with the chopper for $150,000, honestly, my wife will prefer to die. But joke on the side, but it all depends on the prices, because I know that I can also have a special insurances that a specific companies provides, let's say sport insurance, or the insurances that covers the car bikes and stuff like that. They are completely different rules and completely different prices. But if I have to pay 100 or 500 or maybe 1,000 euros insurance just before my trip to, let's say, South America, it is just too much. That's why I'm so interested from a specific questions. Off-road, away from the main roads, not in the hotel, not like this, not because friend of mine here in Bulgaria got one insurance that they swear to him that they will cover everything. So when we discussed this situation, I said to him, go to your insurance provider and ask again. And he went again to the insurance provider and asked again. His question was specific. He was planning to go to TET, Turkey, to ride off-road around Turkey. And the question was, will you cover if I have an accident on the TET roads, something that is away from the main roads in the mountains? And the insurance provider was friends of his, and he said, what I have to do? If you have this problem, make sure that you go back to the road, ask someone to bring you back to the road with your motorcycle, and then say to the insurance that I have an accident exactly here on the road right now. If you say that you're in the mountains, they will never cover anything. So that's why I'm asking you, Richard, ask specific questions, very clear questions, and then I will be so curious to know the answer. Yaros, Tena Travel, I think you have too much trust on your insurance provider. I will not expect it from any insurance in the world. They are extremely greedy and do everything. It's not exactly like that, Yaros. Some insurance companies are work really well, especially in the Western world, but many people also don't read between the lines, and they really trust on it without even testing it. Because, as I said, no one can give you what I can promise you. But when it really comes to the real payment, then it's a different story. The examples that people gave, they said, I was on holiday in Zanzibar and I broke my legs. Yeah, you broke your leg in the hotel or in the bus excursion that you go, that you have a different type of insurances, or the hotel already cover everything, or your airplane company or your payment by Visa already covered everything. It's a different story. It's not coming, the money are not coming from your insurance provider. They have someone to take it from. They can work with this. Regret is the word for when they ask the money from someone else. But when you're alone in the forest, there is no one involved. There is no local hotel, local restaurant, or hospital, or local municipality. There is no one, just you. And they don't have any physical possibility to take the money from someone and then give it to you. And then the things became a little bit different. I'm not saying that they don't pay at all, but it's good to be checked in advance. Very good topic, Richard. Things that you added in the stream. I think that we've got a few streams on this topic, but maybe it's a good idea to make another one only for this topic. And everyone who has information, I will be glad if you come here to share your information, because, as I said, it's always in the gray zone. Exactly, it will be a good topic for a future stream, Richard, and I will be very glad if you come again with more information directly from the source that you already have. Marv 968, even if you buy a travel insurance, you have to check it that it even covers you for riding motorcycle, also off-road riding, if you plan to go off-road, of course. A lot of policies here in the UK will only cover 125 or below. This is also true. Also depends on that what kind of motorcycles you have. If you have, the more power you have on your motorcycle, the more risky it will be, and they might not even insure you. Frederick Peterson, I will ask my Swedish insurances. Please do it so, guys, and let's agree from now. Let's make next Sunday a stream about the international motorcycle travel insurances, and always keep in mind that we are talking about adventure trips. So we have now 16 people in the stream. I guess that you have at least 5, 6, or maybe 7 different countries that you're coming from now, guys. Let's agree next week the stream is going to be about insurance for adventure trip. Are you happy with this? So every one of you who has a time and possibility, go to your local insurance provider. Yes, off-road accident, exactly. Yeah, and ask specific questions. Will you pay if I have insurance with you? and I'm riding off-road completely alone outside of the main roads in the forest, and I fell down and I break my leg or whatever problems I have. Also ask them, will they cover the damages on your motorcycle as well? Not only on your motorcycle as well. This depends on the insurances, but some insurances are for the motorcycle, some insurances are for you, like a life insurances. So ask for these specific questions, and it will be very interesting even for me, guys, to learn everything, because I have asked 3 or 4 different providers in Bulgaria, and the answers were always the same: zero money back. So good to know. I can give you another one example. Many years ago, I flew to Alaska. I went to Alaska. And to go to Alaska, I changed 3 different flights to get there. But before the trip to Alaska, I made a life insurance. I found one specific company here in the town. I made this life insurance for, let's say, a month or something like that. It cost me something like $30-40. What's a good price? $30-40 for a month trip that I plan to spend in Alaska. And I was happy that I have this life insurance that will cover like $150,000 or something like that if I die, if a bear eating me in Alaska. And my wife was happy, everyone was happy. And then, because I had these 3 flights to fly to Alaska, I got more than enough time. And on the plane, I start reading these terms and conditions of this insurance provider, because they gave me a leaflet with what is covered in what conditions. And then on the last 10 pages were terms and conditions. And the more I reading, the more I was reading, the more I was realizing that the chances to get paid were zero at all. From all activities that I was planning to do in Alaska, like hiking in the mountains with pictures on the ice, walking on the glaciers, rafting, canoeing, swimming, diving, stuff like that, meeting wild bears, and everything that I have planned and I have done in Alaska, I realized that the chances to get money from this insurance provider is zero. That's why I said, make sure that you got the questions, and next Sunday we'll meet you at the same time, and I will be so glad to hear your answers. Tene Traveler, from previous conversation, I have asked and have been that as long as I am on the line on the map, I am covered. When you're on the line on the map, what about if you're off-road? There are no lines on the map off-road, Richard. The only chance that you're gonna have paid when you're off-road, if this specific off-road section, it's a part of the international road line or road network on the specific country. So it might be not pavement, but if it's a part from the road network on the country, it's a line on the map. But when it's not a line on the map, it's a different story. That's why, once again, Richard, please ask again. Up to 2.5 million last year, I changed company because my previous company stopped. Okay, ask again. Francis Rossell, make sure if your motorcycle is modified, we have to tell the insurance company because it might kill the policy or not. That's also true, especially if you change the whole construction of the bike. MAF 968, I know the policy which I took out for traveling Colombia, Vietnam, and Balkans didn't cover me for off-road, so I barely did any off-road riding. You see what I'm talking about? Off-road is not covered. Not only off-road, there are many different specific situations. That's why I ask more. Not only off-road. Another question that I asked is, will you pay me if I have an accident by myself, not hit by another car? Let's say I'm driving on the international road, part of the road network, but I miss a corner. I fly into the corner and hit a tree or something and break my motorcycle, or let's say break my leg. Will you pay me for this? And the answer was no, because it's your fault. I'm not saying that all insurances will not pay in this situation, but the insurances that I asked, 3 different providers, they said no. So they are happy to pay if I have an accident in the towns or something, but it's another car involved, or in specific situations. But if it's my fault, they say no. That's why I'm telling you, ask again, and then we're going to discuss it. Marv 968, just be careful if you're using Google Maps and it has no motorcycle option. It will take you down some great off-road tracks. Yeah, the best possible way to get lost is with Google Maps. Tena Traveler, it can be a green lane or a multi-highways, but I will have to ask about away from the situations. Please do it, Richard. Please do it. Very interesting to know that. And it's also very good to you to know it, Richard, because you travel alone and you don't know in what kind of situations you can get in without even asking for it. You might have a specific diversion here and there and finish in some grass that you can fall down and, let's say, break your leg or your precious passenger. So ask in advance, so I don't want to have any problems in the future. Vance Marian, my insurance specifically states no fraud or dirt roads. Here you go, see what I'm talking about. Frederick Peterson, I will pay you a cup of coffee on a bandage if you crash in Sweden. If you crash in Sweden, I will pay you a cup of coffee and bandage if you crash in Sweden. I understand what you mean. Well, I'll prefer to pay for my coffee, but stay in good condition in Sweden. Любомир Велчев, здрасти, Любо, как си? Interesting topic. It's also if the insurance covers tooth pains treatment and emergency detail treatment in some countries like the UK, that could quickly drain your budget. Yes, this is also a specific type of insurance. Usually the insurance companies, they pay for this stuff because it's obvious. It's obvious and it happens in very, very rare situations. So it's a calculated risk, Lubo, if you understand what I mean. They calculated that 1 from 1,000 people will have a tooth problems and they can pay for it. They usually pay for that stuff. But the things that we discuss are a little bit different. Tenant Traveler, I have my homework. I will ask. But now high authority has called me to dinner and good lady, very interesting chat. Thank you very much for coming, Richard. You're very active as usual. You're always the first. Thank you very much. Send my regards to Lina and see you next week. Guys, I'm going to give you 5 more minutes. So if you have any more things to add, please do it so. Alan Maurice, I think that with the German, with the Garmin InReach SOS package, rescue service can get you out of the world with all the savings. Alain, or Alan, I don't know what is exactly. It's not exactly like that, but let's discuss this on the next stream because I already have Garmin InReach and I know how exactly it works, and I will give you a little bit more information about it next time. But it's not exactly what you think about it. You definitely need an additional insurance, a specific insurance, if you want to be covered by Garmin InReach. What Garmin InReach will do is only to connect you with a specific rescue team. But someone need to pay for this rescue team, and this is not because you have a Garmin InReach. You need a different insurance that will have a different levels on where exactly you are and what they cover. But it's right that you can have a specific service, but if you pay for it, because Garmin InReach is a device that will give you the chance to make a connection with a local rescue team. They will take the chopper and will come to pick you up. Do you believe that they will do it just because you bought Garmin InReach or you paid 15 euros per month for Garmin InReach? Do you believe that this 15 euros per month will cover the chopper that will cost probably $50,000 if it's in the States, or probably 30,000 euros if it's in Europe? So that's why we'll discuss this a little bit later next week. But also you can check by yourself what are the terms and conditions in Garmin InReach. Check the insurance companies that they have, and then we can just talk again. It's like a SOS button on the car. It's just a call service. Exactly what I mean, Frederick. Thanks for adding this. Sorry, my English is not giving me the right words always. I try to be as useful as possible, but sometimes I just don't have enough words, or they are just not coming. I know the words, but they're not always when I need them. Satellite, not cell, but yeah, almost the same. Yes, exactly. So, guys, thank you very much for coming tonight. I think the information that we shared is very interesting, or at least from my opinion, I hope that many people will benefit from it. As I said, next week on Sunday, the same time, Sunday, it will be, what will be, 23rd of November, on the 23rd of November. The same place, the same time, we're going to discuss insurances for international travel. Thank you very much for coming tonight, and see you next time. Ciao.